Hey guys, Eckhart Slaughter here. Very pleased today to bring to you some Star Wars news. It has been a real long time since we had some actual news to talk about. Not leaks, not analysis, but real news. As I'm sure most of you guys know, a new Star Wars The Last Jedi behind the scene trailer dropped today. In this video, I'm going to be going over the 5 things that you should notice when watching the trailer, and I'm going to give my personal impressions at the end. So let's get right into it. The first thing that you should have noticed while watching this trailer is a scene where Rey is practicing for a combat and she's fighting against 3 different people. Now I'm going to be getting into leaks and possible spoilers here, so if you don't want any of that, leave the video now. But this is important because we've heard from MakingStarWars.com that Luke and Rey may face off against the Knights of Ren on Acto. Now, if this were true, this would obviously involve Rey and Luke being massively outnumbered, so it would be a situation where Rey would potentially have to fend off 3 people at once. So I find that pretty interesting. It's just another sign to me that the leaks that we've been getting so far up to this point are probably pretty accurate. The second thing I want to mention, and this one is kind of minor, is that we see Kylo Ren in a helmet and we see other copies of Kylo's helmet. And a lot of what we've heard up to this point has suggested that Kylo would be without his helmet for much of the movie. And interestingly, all of the Vanity Fair stuff we've seen, all of the promotional artwork, even the Star Wars Battlefront 2 stuff has had Kylo Ren with his face exposed, and I think that this is actually the first time we've seen him in Episode 8 with his mask on. This is important because I think a masked Kylo Ren is someone who's different than just Ben. If you remember, Rey in Episode 7 calls him a creature in a mask, and I think that that's a pretty apt description. So I think it's fairly safe to say that those hoping to see Kylo Ren's redemption will probably have to wait a while. Another important thing worth mentioning is that Adam Driver is seen practicing combat against someone wielding a staff. Now this has a couple of interesting possibilities. Later on in the video, we see Daisy Ridley practicing with some sort of staff herself. So perhaps there is some sort of confrontation between the two where she doesn't have her lightsaber. Now, it's kind of hard for me to tell if these 2 staffs are the same length, if they're supposed to be the same weapon, but there's also a second option. We've recently, although not officially, learned about Snoke's Praetorian Guards. These would be essentially Snoke's version of the Royal Guards from Episode 6. We know that the Praetorian Guards use some sort of staff as a weapon, and that they supposedly see action in The Last Jedi. We also know that at the end of The Force Awakens, Kylo Ren is returning to Snoke to continue his training. So I think it's very possible that Kylo Ren is either fencing against these guards or members of the Knights of Ren. The fourth thing worth noticing is that there's a scene with Rey before a rock face, and this is clearly the set for the planet Crait. And for those who aren't aware, Crait is the planet where we're going to have the new Walker battle. A leaked Lego set from a couple of weeks ago showed minifigures for Rey at this battle, but that wasn't really conclusive evidence that she'd actually be there. I think this image, along with the Lego set, pretty highly suggests that she's going to take part in the battle somehow. I'm curious to see whether she'll use her new Jedi powers and where Luke Skywalker is, because we haven't seen any indication that he'll be there as well. It could very well be that Luke and Rey are separated at some point in the movie, with each having their own individual missions. I also wonder if Crait will be where Rey and Finn are reunited after some time apart. The last thing I want to draw attention to is the shots that we have with the new characters. First, of course, there's Laura Dern as Admiral Holdo with her very bright purple hair. There's nothing really new here. I think her character looks interesting, and she does seem to be speaking to Carrie Fisher, although they could very well just be speaking off camera. I think more interestingly is the shot of Benicio del Toro in some sort of starship. Now, he's wearing something on his head and I can't really tell, and the exterior of the walls are what's interesting to me. We've heard that Benicio will have a very sleek looking ship, and Making Star Wars said that it would look kind of like an Apple store. Well, I think that very white wall that he has behind him, along with the lighted panels, make it seem like this could possibly be that ship. That would kind of confirm their description of him as a character too, which has him as sort of a man in black, very mysterious, not really clear what side he's operating on. Anyway, those are my 5 main takeaways. I do also want to briefly talk about what I thought of the behind the scenes trailer. And to put it briefly, I was a huge fan. Just like with the behind the scenes trailer for The Force Awakens, it was really nice to see that the crew seems to be focusing on practical effects. It was nice to see Luke in a couple of different costumes, but again, he could be wearing all of those on Acto. And of course, it was nice to see Mark and Carrie together. I also do love the look of some of the new aliens, particularly the giant horse, though I do wonder where the classic monsters are. and I do hope we see some friendly faces in The Last Jedi. I also noticed how much larger Kylo Ren's scar looks in these images, which I know is just a small thing, but it did make me go back and pause it. Also, something that kind of made me go back and look again is the fact that there are children apparently in this movie, which is kind of strange because although Star Wars is clearly marketed towards children, the film themselves don't usually have kids in them. I mean, I'm fairly certain that, except for being in costume, there weren't actually any kids in the original trilogy. Finally, I just want to say that it seems like the cast has a really fun chemistry, and I'm really interested to see how that translates into the movie. Hopefully, it's as good as it was in The Force Awakens. Anyways guys, that's all I have to say about this behind the scenes trailer. I just saw that a new one dropped for Star Wars Battlefront 2, and I'm now frustrated because I probably have to make another video. Anyway, talk to me down in the comments, let me know what you thought of this behind the scenes trailer, what you thought of the things that I pointed out, and if you're more excited for The Last Jedi today than you were yesterday. Thank you so much for watching. May the Force be with you.